Depends on whether or not I get good signal here, but I have a nice little 20-mile stretch, which is kind of nice and easy, so we'll go with it. Driving in beautiful countryside. God, it's so beautiful out here. Anyway, so we're talking about who is Satan and what is heaven. And I'm going to be presenting the apex human perspective, the geopolitical Christian perspective. Just talking here, so it's okay for me to do this while driving. I won't be answering anything or responding to anything, so pardon me there. So who is Satan first and foremost? I've already put out a video about, why God is not hearing you, because you've misinterpreted the devil, you've misunderstood what Satan is. And so first of all, let's start off with what Satan is, or according to the Christian tradition. He's an archangel, Hallel, if I'm not mistaken. And Azazel is also considered Satan in a way because he's a scapegoat. But anyway, in a lot of different traditions, Satan occupies different places. Even in the Bible, he tends to be helpful, sometimes hurtful, sometimes a tempter, sometimes a teacher. In multiple places, he does what God wants him to do to kind of steer the story of the human epic. But according to the geopolitical Christian perspective, Satan is basically the arch optimalist, because Satan is God of this world. Satan is the Lord of this planet, this earth, whatever. And God gave him dominion over the planet. Adam didn't lose it. It was none of that. Adam is the son of the Most High. Adam was a spark of God here. And Hallel, Azazel, whoever we'll call him Satan. We'll just call him Satan. Lucifer is a whole nother concept, but Lucifer, you can even use that. His job, we'll say Satan. Satan's job was to help refine that spark in this density, in this level of reality. The geopolitical Christian perspective is not just mainstream Christianity, which is designed to limit your access to God. Mainstream Christianity acts as a barrier to God, not a bridge. And so geopolitical Christianity, our entire purpose is to provide a bridge to God. People already have that within themselves. So you don't have to be a geopolitical Christian to get that. Or an apex human, you already have that. You're born a geopolitical Christian, you're born an apex human. You don't need us to do anything. But having a community, having a system, having a structure is helpful. So if it serves you, it serves you. If it doesn't, it's all good. Who cares? Like, we're not that desperate, right? We're children of the Most High, and we're emissaries of God in this world. And the Lord of this earth, supports us, provides, is the God of this world. I think all around that's well understood. The literalist Christians understand that because Jesus said it, and so they pretty much, as Jesusists, kind of go along with his ideology and his preaching, or at least how Paul interpreted it and how the writers of the New Testament did. So that is that. Satan is the God of this world. Who is Satan? He's the God of this world. Does that make him good, evil, right, wrong, bad? It's irrelevant, because his job is to be in charge of density. This realm, this layer of density, that is his purpose. And he does what God told him to do. He does what God told him to do. And so there are many entities in the Bible and in Christian mythology and in esoteric literature, such as the Nachash, the serpent, who also is a symbol of Christ, of salvation. If you read John, I'm not going to try and figure out the chapter. It's been a while since I read it. I think it was anyway, you read John, you read the Deuteronomical, you read John, and I believe you read Judges. Anyway, Old Testament, New Testament both have this concept of the serpent representing Christ. Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, and all who gazed upon the serpent, the flaming serpent, the brass or the copper serpent, pardon me, would be saved. It was a sign of salvation. Christ was lifted up on the cross like the serpent. He serves as a sign of salvation. So the serpent, even though the serpent is an instrument or an emissary of Satan, the serpent is also a symbol of Christ. Lucifer, the light bringer, the light bearer. Christ is a type of Lucifer. He is one who brings light, illumination the light of God into this dark and dense world that is run by Satan. So who is Satan? Satan is the archangel that runs this planet, that runs this realm. He is the God of this earth, the Lord of this world. And it is his job, it is his purpose to maintain the order of this planet. Notice the etymological link between Satan and Saturn. Now, I don't know if there have been any etymological links drawn there. I have to do the research. I think in the past I did run across that. That's why I have that idea in my head. But Satan and Saturn is the god of order, the god of structure, the god of law. Satan, the god of this world, is also the prosecutor, the tempter, the one who wants to see if you will. The devil's more the tempter, but Satan is the Lord of order. When Satan was in heaven with the rest of the sons of God, he said, humans are total fuck-ups to the Most High. He said this to the Most High. It's all allegory. It's not real. But he said, Satan said, humans are all fuck-ups. And I've just been walking up and down in the earth, and I've seen that. And the Most High said, have you considered my servant Job? Go to Job chapter 2 and Job chapter 1. Both instances, Satan is in heaven. And so, with the other angels. And so most Christians believe that Satan was kicked out of heaven prior to the creation of humanity. But you see Satan is welcomed in heaven. He's dealing in heaven. He's taking care of things for God. In one instance, he comes forth and says, I will be a deceiving spirit. And God says, thank you. Go ahead and deceive Ahab so he dies. So the reason that geopolitical Christians have this perspective of Satan is that we understand that Christianity at its core, before the Orthodox Christian formation occurred, Christianity was a path of seekers, a path of those walking the path of light. We were Luciferians. We were light bringers, light bearers, but we had to find the light. We had to become illuminated. And we would do that through travel, through learning, through experience. Pythagoras was a Christian, or Pythagoras. Jesus was a Christian. All of these people, Muhammad was a Christian. All these were seekers, right? And geopolitical Christianity revives, restores, redefines Christianity in those terms as a path of seekers. Hypatia was a Christian, even though she was the greatest pagan mind of the, I think, 3rd or 4th century. She was an Egyptian, Alexandrian. So all of these seekers, by definition, were Christians. They were seeking to become anointed, to have this power within them activated, their apex humanity. And that is what this whole thing is. And so Satan is the arch teacher, the arch guide of the Christians. Satan understands there is law and order. The devil, one of Satan's emissaries, as Beelzebub is one of his emissaries, and Lucifer's kind of one of his connectors in this world. Satan is the God of justice. Let's put it that way. He demands divine justice. He demands that humanity be punished. Satan is the one angel that obeyed God's laws completely. All the other angels obeyed what God said. But Satan was the only angel that obeyed God's laws. If you look at old Christian traditions, the Gnostic traditions, even the Orthodox traditions, when God put all the angels before him, after he made Adam, he placed Adam in front of the angels and he said, bow before Adam. Satan was the only angel that didn't do it, because Satan knew that his job was to only bow before the Most High. All the other angels bowed because all the other angels obeyed God's orders, but they didn't obey his law. Satan is the Lord of justice, the Lord of law, the Lord of law and order, the God of law and order. So that's why God made him the God of this earth. That's why the Most High made him the God of this earth. So that's who Satan is, the God of this earth, the Lord of justice, the Lord of law and order. He is the arch guide, the arch leader of all of those who seek to become exceptional, to become optimal. You must go through the initiation. Jesus had to go through that. Look who came to him in the wilderness when he hadn't eaten for 40 days. The God of this earth. The God of this world said, I will give you the kingdoms of the world. I will make you leader of all these things. You think Satan was like yeah, I'm going to give you this and then you're going to serve me. He was testing Jesus's resolve. Those of us who bow to the dictates of physicality, the dictates of this world, are worms. But the apex human only bows to the Most High, as Satan only bowed to the Most High. That is what it's all about. So what is heaven? You got to go back to Christianity and its structure and its design. Christianity, as it's done in the mainstream, is designed to keep people weak, stupid, sick, sad, broke, and unimpressed with life, afraid of life, afraid of existence. And so hell, number one, does not exist. What is heaven then? Heaven is the presence of God, period. It is the most refined, the most pure, the most powerful, the most bright presence of God. And so if you are dedicated to darkness and sadness and sin and suffering and the fear of this earth, and you have not taken time to bow before the Most High here in this level of density, you've bowed before the God of this world, who is Satan, well then guess what? When you're in the presence of God, what happens to you? You're burned up. Hell doesn't exist. There is only heaven. Heaven is the presence of God. And if you are dedicated to the judging others, moralism, legalism, I'm not gay, or I pray every day, or I don't eat the pork, or whatever the stupid ideas that you have, right? If you're dedicated to that, when you get into the presence of God, God's presence is unconditional love, unconditional acceptance, unconditional purity, unconditional power. When you get into that presence, you are obliterated. You are ripped apart, particle by particle, corpuscle by corpuscle. Your essence is ripped to shreds. That is what heaven is. That's why it behooves us to find God here in this darkness, in this realm of density, in this realm of stupidity, in this realm of suffering. Find pleasure, find peace, find power, find purpose, find purity, find productivity, and find prosperity. Here, that is our purpose. Those of us who come here and bow before the God of this earth, which is Satan, we're not going to get there. We're going to leave this when you die. There's no such thing as hell, by the way. Hell does not exist. That's an invention of Dante. That's an invention of the church. It does not exist. The Jews originally, the real Jews, the Paladins, understood hell to be Sheol, the place outside of the city where you put dead bodies, rotting corpses, shit, feces, trash, right? That's what it is. It's the external aspect of reality. It is the distance from God. That's what it is. That's all that hell is. And so here in this dense world is hell, in a way. But when you find God, when you find the Most High here, when you're able to bow before the source code and find your mission and your purpose here, well, guess what? When you die, straight back to the presence of the Father, of the source being, of the source code. And your travel between density and the source code is called heaven. That space between here and the presence of God is heaven. That space between here and the source code is heaven. For a lot of people who have found love and pleasure and peace and power and prosperity and purpose in this life will experience the beauty and the flow of that. They will experience that beautiful click point between here and the next step. Those who have found judgment and torment and those people are bad or I wasn't good enough or whatever, they will find torment. They will find suffering. They will find destruction. That's heaven. That's hell. That's God. That's Satan. For us geopolitical Christians, we are going to heaven, back to the source, back to the Father, right after we leave here. The space between this dense world and God is called heaven because it is the space of purification. Heaven is where you are purified, not a purgatory, but a purification. which means that the presence of God is not, it's not as tight or as purified here in this world. But when you get closer to the presence of God at the higher realms, it becomes much and more intense. And so as you rise up toward the presence of God, the density of reality, the density of materiality burns away. And if you're attached to that density, you will burn. But the more you let go of it, the more you let go of density, the more you let go of judgment, the more you let go of being good and being right and being righteous and following the real. Even the woke left are the worst moralists on planet Earth. The religious right are terrible too, right? They're going to destroy each other. They're going to, the religious right is going to eat itself alive in the next couple months, right? You're going to see it. I love Trump. You always will, but all the people that will follow everything he says at the drop of a hat, they're going to eat each other alive very soon. Watch it, right? They're going to rip each other to shreds. And that's part of the purification process. We are going into a golden age. And part of that is a little bit of turbulence. It's fine. All is well. So heaven is that space. And for many people who die, they will experience the pleasure, the peace, the beauty, the luxury, the gold, the beautiful scenery, and all of that in their transition from density to the presence of the Father, the source code. Most of us forget that, like most of you don't even remember who you were before you came here. But you were somebody before you came here. Unless you're a scenery person, which you're not even here for that, or you're here talking some bullshit, right? Scenery people don't even matter. But most of us had an existence, an identity before this. And that's when you get to that space between here and the source code, and you decide, let me go back into density. There's something else I want to figure out, something else I want to experience. And that's what. So for political Christians, Satan is the god of this world, the god of justice, the god of law, the god of order, the god of prosecution and persecution, right? And that is his job. That's what he's designed to do. He proved that he was worthy to be God of a cosmic structure. And God said, the Most High said, I will make you Lord of materiality. And that's what Satan is. And so those that are, the Satanists don't understand this because most Satanists are fucking idiots. The only smart Satanist, I think, was Anton LaVey. Aleister Crowley a little bit, but he was not Satanist. He was an occultist. But, Anton Szandor LaVey was probably the last brilliant Satanist. All the rest are just, I'm not impressed with them. I think that they're pretentious and they're just aspy, sad people that haven't figured it out yet. So I'm not impressed by Satanists. But Anton Szandor LaVey was a brilliant mind. Of course, he was a carnival barking kind of a guy, but he was not a psychopath. He was just a brilliant mind. And I would call him a geopolitical Christian of the highest order. So Satan, again, the god of justice, the god of this world, the god of physical materiality. He is God's 3D projection into this world. And those who bow to him are lost, right? But you must understand his purpose. And as an apex human, a geopolitical Christian, you recognize that he is a guide. He is your Sherpa here in this density. And when you can employ him as such, you will see that your life will click. Everything will fall into place. Heaven, all of us go to heaven after this. Doesn't matter what you do. We all go to heaven after this. The question is, can you stand the presence of the Most High? Cultivate a connection with the Most High here by following those little cues that light your soul up. If you want to sing, if you want to create, if you want to bring things into this world that have never been here before, follow those things, and God will reward you. Don't buy into the lies. Of course, Christianity in its mainstream form is done. It's coming to an end. We're going into Christianity's golden age, which is the geopolitical Christian movement. But Christianity, as it's practiced in the mainstream, is going to come to its end. I'm not going to predict the time frame for that, but it's definitely coming to its end. It's good for you to join a Christian church at some point if you are non-Christian, so that you can incorporate the symbology and the ideas and the psyche of that psychic bubble. But at some point you will be pulled out of that. And by your side will stand the Lord of this earth, or one of his emissaries, Beelzebub, Lucifer, Satan, whatever, right? And at some point, you will have to follow him because he is a guide. But you will never bow to him as a god. You will never worship him. You will understand his purpose. Like bleach, you will not drink him, but you will use him to purify your path, to cleanse things, to give illumination, as Lucifer did to Job, or as Satan did to Christ on his last portion of his time in the wilderness. Turn the stones into bread, meaning turn the stone of physical materiality into sustenance for your spirit. And Jesus said, don't tempt the Lord, you know. He also said to Satan, to Peter, his disciples, get thee behind me, Satan. And Peter is Pedros, the stone, right? So that's what I have to say about that. I'm driving, so I'm not going to answer any of the comments out of safety. And I wish you guys a wonderful 2/22. We are passing through the portal. And we're almost at 3:33, so at 3:33 I will shut this down. But enjoy your journeys, enjoy your apex awakening. Allow the God of light to guide you through the Lord of this world of darkness. And understand at all times, no matter how bright this angel is, no matter how shining he is testing you. Never bow to him. Respect him, understand him, learn from him. Let him be a guide, let him be a teacher. That is what Christianity originally was. All right, 3:33. Have a good one. Be apex, stay apex. Stay apex.